Hello, Riga. As Ernest was saying, you should wear your badges to show your brand. I mean, at least on stage, I took the option of wearing the brand, not the badge. But with me today on the stage will be Elias Aalto, formerly known as Elias Pietilä, the guy who's built at least one horribly successful app a few years ago, and then one relatively big software consultancy in Finland. And now he's one of the co-founders of a Finnish food delivery app called Wolt. Elias, please.
How's it going? Nice to be here. I was promised music.
I think they missed it. You wanted to dance?
Yeah, no, let's do it now. No. Let's leave that for the after party.
But, I think we have like 15, 20 minutes to talk. Let's start from the real beginning.
I was born, and
yes.
I remember most of it.
It was a sunny day, right?
Yeah.
But scrolling through a little bit to...
Why to become an entrepreneur in the first place, kind of thing. Yeah. So I was working at a software consultancy, and by chance, after a year, I saw what we billed for my hours. I was 21 or something, and they were billing 120 euros an hour for my work, and I was getting paid 17. And I was naive, and I was like, oh my God, they're stealing 90% of the money. I also couldn't do math. It's actually only like 80%. And I was like, I could totally do this myself, sell myself. So me and two of my university buddies, we founded a software consultancy, and it was very slow in the beginning.
So, bootstrapping?
Yeah, so we brought our own computers, 3 people, no cost, put in the founding equity of 2,500, started going, and we had a single client, and we were billing 50 euros an hour, and I was like, well, something went wrong. It was supposed to be 120. Turns out some people sell these things, and then they can bill more and whatnot. But then App Store happened, and I was lucky enough to decide to build a couple of games for early App Store. So 2008, 2009, very early. One of those games, Wooden Labyrinth 3D, shipped in total 13 million copies, which is big in that time because there were fewer iPhones back then. At one point, it was over 10% of all the iPhones in the world had that game. And, well, when that happened, all of a sudden our sort of so-and-so software consultancy started getting orders of mobile applications, and we started doing those.
But 10% of all iPhones having your game.
Yeah.
That must be amazing, right? You became a millionaire.
Yeah, I became a gazillionaire. No, back then we hadn't figured out how to make money on the App Store. That was an industry-wide issue. Back then we didn't have in-app purchases. It was this freemium premium model. And, well, it made hundreds of thousands, but after over 50% of that going to taxes and, all the booze and all the... No. It was life-changing, but not sort of fundamentally.
But founding the consultancy with 2 of your mates, how did you kind of organize it? No money, 3 guys, need something to live from, build projects.
Well, the thing is, those 2 guys were actually working still, so that's what usually happens.
Only you needed money.
Yeah, they needed money. I had enough saved, and then I started making substantially more from the games, because I was doing those as well as founding the company at the same time. So, yeah, be prepared to work nights and evenings and weekends, and don't have a girlfriend and life or all that jazz.
That's called startup life, right?
Yeah. You get that. You get the startup life, but you lose the rest of your soul.
But then losing the soul part, how many years did you build the consultancy?
before you die inside. I think 3 years and you're dead inside. So the issue with building a mobile application consultancy in a time when we don't know how to make money with mobile applications is very soul-crushing, because you're making these products that you know that they shouldn't buy. And they're just wasting their money, but you kind of have to keep billing that. So I couldn't handle that myself. So I kind of joined one of our customers, actually. I came back. So I was 2.5 years doing the consulting, then away, then back. And I just couldn't handle it myself. So if you're doing consultancy or anything, kind of, you really have to believe in your product. I believe that we were making like the best apps ever, but the ideas were just crap. And there's no way to actually make them successful.
So for you personally, when Miki approached you to make Wolt, it was kind of perfect timing.
Yeah, it was exceptional. I was planning on leaving anyway, operationally from the company, and just become one of the leeches, the dirty owners of it. And then Miki called me, and Miki is a former CEO of Slush, scaled that. If you don't know what Slush is,
I mean, we at TechChill, this
we probably
knows.
know. We probably know. So we met over coffee. He had this terrible idea for a service. I totally bought it. And he was like, "Are you in?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm running this company I founded." And then an hour later, I called him back. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I was naive again and foolish, thinking that, well, I can make the best app ever again. And then with Miki's sort of clout and celebrity status in a way, we'll get the early adopters, and then the traction of the service itself will kick in. The only issue was that the service idea was kind of crap. So while we were thinking about the end game, kind of own delivery and whatnot, initially we didn't have that. We were thinking that someone else will figure out logistics, like Starship robots and whatever, and we'll just wait for that to happen. Well, you can keep on waiting. It still isn't there. So we had to build our own. And so initially we only had takeaway. Who has ever used Wolt or knows what Wolt is? This is...
Wow.
Oh my God.
You have launched in Latvia?
Yeah, we have. Okay. But it's so nice to see in a foreign country. I know no one in Latvia, but there's people who have used our stuff. It's so cool. And that's actually the thing I was missing as being a consultant, is that, it's something your own that you get to, go to a person and he knows what, or she knows that exists, and you can be a proud parent of that thing. It's so awesome. But the point being, our initial idea was that, hey, people definitely want to sort of order in advance when they go to a restaurant to pick up or eat in. And they do. I mean, it's not horrible, it's just horribly slow. So it's double-digit percentage still of our orders are something else than delivery, but it just isn't like crack cocaine to your brain to do that. So when you become an accustomed Wolt user, you may start to actually embrace that lifestyle, but it's not definitely something that people sort of jumped on and be like, "Oh yes, I can order food." Like, yeah, you could do that, like just go there.
But it's probably much more useful still, or the market opportunity is just massive, right? The food business, the eating out business.
Yeah, it's like 5% of consumer spend. It's roughly as big as all entertainment in the world, and that includes all the games, all the movies, all the books, and whatever. So eating out is as big as that.
So the opportunity compared to some funny apps you're going to see here on stage who's doing like startup event organizing software, or, who the hell needs this kind of stuff in the world?
Who needs like Eventbrite? Lol. It's, of course, we are able to capture only a small sliver of that so far. And there's a lot more sort of mature markets that are meaningful when you sort of capture that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't capture good niches and smaller ideas. Definitely do that.
Just a reminder that you can put your Wolt orders through Slido app today, so we can ask the questions from you and the food, right?
Yeah.
Estonian humor. Sorry.
Yeah.
Originally, Wolt had 6 founders.
Yeah.
You still have 6 founders, right?
Why would we have 6?
No? How many?
Yeah,
founders?
we had 6. 6 co-founders is good for one thing, which is that when you buy beer, it comes in a 6-pack, yeah? It comes in a 12-pack, and it comes in a 24-pack, and they're all divisible by 6. So it's the perfect number, but it sucks for everything else.
Did you try to sell that story to VCs?
Yeah, we were like, oh my God, you put in 400,000 euros, and we buy all the beer, and it's perfectly divisible. Now, so there's multiple reasons why you shouldn't have 6 co-founders. The obvious one is being, it's very hard to decide on things in the beginning when there's no sort of a power structure that eventually sort of forms, especially since we didn't really know each other so well. And so selecting the name of the company took us 6 months, roughly. And this was the 19th name. My favorite suggestion was Hindenburg. And it actually won the sort of street gallop we did. And then Wolt became the sort of, well, no one felt very strongly against it. And one other thing which is more important is of course, cap table. So, well, if you're a founder, you're probably interested in that. So it becomes difficult when you have so many co-founders because you start off with already smaller shares because there's a limited amount of percentages to go around. They need to adapt to 100. Believe me, we tried. And then the issue is that like you put in some funding in, and all of a sudden you're dealing with like single digits, and at that point the VCs get very anxious. They're like, are these guys committed? They have 2 small shares, and then they want to have only a couple of people to actually have a larger share, and then they do all the tricks, and then they get what they want, and then people get unhappy. We've managed to sort of, there were risks so far on the way, and we managed to overcome them, but there were a situation where we could have sort of turned against each other, and someone could have been like, oh, that's not fair. And we've been very fair with each other, but it's just gets tricky when you need to raise funding rounds and you have so many co-founders.
Maybe you have some good stories to share from those meetings with VCs and 6 co-founders.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Miki was such a celebrity that our initial VC meetings were basically that, and they didn't care for the rest of it. It was like, oh, Miki is here. Oh, it's nice. Who's this guy?
How many millions do you need?
Who's this iOS developer guy? I'm like, oh, whatever. Yeah, Miki was supposed to be here as well. Yeah, I'm a substitute.
Do you feel like one?
Always. There's no shame in being silver. It really didn't become an issue until later rounds when the dilution begins to kick in, and they just start thinking, well, the CEO should probably have this and this much because they have some idea of what they want to see there. And they have like the strict pattern in their head, and then they're like, oh, this doesn't follow the pattern. So.
Do you remember the password for this?
Yeah, I remember the first 2 digits. They are 00.
Okay, I tried to remember this.
And the last 2 are also zeros.
Okay. As I see, there is no incoming question. Disconnected, trying to reconnect. It's the IT conference.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have questions, I can.
Who made the app? Not you guys, no.
Yeah.
Quick.
Let me tell you, conference apps. That's not a market you want to be in, really. I've done a few, and no, never again. Yeah. But the thing about VCs that I sort of have in mind, and there are VCs in the crowd and they're going to hate me for this, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're not fundraising at the moment, so I get to make enemies. And our lawyer is on maternity leave, so so I'm unleashed. So the first company I was founding wasn't a VC-funded one. And I think, in a way, that makes sense. Let me tell you, because the VCs that we talk with, they're like investing in 40 companies or something like that, and then they are looking for 1 or 2 to actually make the returns of that the fund. And then you start thinking, well, wait a minute, so I only have 1 in 40 chance to get something myself. I mean, there's some small winners in there, but maybe it's 1 in 10. And I mean, the VCs get to diversify their portfolio, but in a way, you as a person, you cannot. You can serial entrepreneur, you can try many times, one after the other, but how many shots do you have in yourself? 3, 4, and then you're dead, right? So, and the VCs want to push you for these billion-dollar exits because that's where they actually make the returns, the crazy returns, like big, big, big. And the odds actually do get smaller when you go higher. Although they say, you should shoot for the moon and land between the stars, deep and motivational. I think for your first company, you should perhaps go a little safer and not aim for the billion-dollar thing, because in a way, 100 million gets you the Lamborghini as well, if you want that. I mean, whatever you actually want with money. I don't know if someone wants it. For many, it doesn't really matter. With like 10 billion, you can buy then a golden Lamborghini, like made out of pure gold. But who really cares anymore? So go for some meaningful thing and perhaps lower risk, and then you can do these crazy shots, because you don't have too many of them in your life. And to me, it sounds a bit of a, like, they sell you only the winners. They always put on the stage these champions, but they don't talk about the amount of losers in the game as well.
Somebody I spoke recently put it really nicely that if you're building a startup and building the team, you should, ask, or the mission for you is to get your staff to forget the reality.
Yeah.
And just, believe on the dream and build on it, because the world outside is crazy.
Well, because see, that's exactly the thing that I'm a bit against, because I think that sort of feeds people to work, more, and there are parties that benefit from that, but it's not always the entrepreneur itself to sort of go for those big, massive things.
No, the dude was from Silicon Valley and had raised 160 million round.
Yeah, exactly, but that's my only sort of actual advice, is that, if you're young, maybe go for the lower risk play. I still think being an entrepreneur is the way to go. Being a co-founder is the way to go if you want to actually have an impact on the world, or for some reason if you want to make money. But
we have a question from the crowd.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, what's the market situation for Wolt in Baltics compared to Finland?
Well, so Finland is our best and worst market, which is strange. So it's the biggest. We have most cities there, the most mature cities. But since it's our founding market, we were ridiculously naive in the beginning about our sort of business pricing structure and all that. And it has inertia to move that. Where we launch new markets, it's a bit different. So Baltics as a whole has taken off like wildfire. It has grown like no other place. So thank you for your continued patronage. It's been wonderful, and I think we have some Wolt Baltic people in the crowd somewhere. There we go. Big hand from me. Yeah. Go Harry. That's the coolest looking cap. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, especially in Riga and Vilnius that launched later when we were more mature as a company. They've really taken off quickly.
The more general question, the mission to take on the world, or is Wolt the, strange Nordic player in this market?
Yeah. Well, so compared to many of our rivals, we are focusing on profitability as well. So we always aim to be profitable in all of our markets. We don't want to be this VC subsidized, too great to be true service where you burn a lot of money and then you need more. And so if you're first, you can go for that market grab and you just try to cover the whole world. We need to be a bit more, our sort of strategy is to outlast them, because when they burn up quickly, we've actually built a business. So that does make it so that going to some of the battleground cities where they're spending tens of millions a year just to fight the battle, we're probably not going to go there initially until we've sort of strangled them elsewhere. But of course, in the end, world domination. Who wouldn't want that, right?
I mean, it's a good stage in a way. There is no bleeping, clock anywhere.
Yeah.
There is no organizer screaming that get off the stage.
Yeah.
We could stay here until the evening.
Oh, let's do that.
But I think we have to wrap. I'll try to open that app once again to see is there any more questions from the crowd to close. No, the wrong password.
I just found out his personal password because he punched in some actual numbers from muscle memory.
Yeah. No. They're still trying to reconnect.
Oh. Well.
Good. We try to reconnect with you all later when you order your next Wolt order, right?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, everybody.